Hello and welcome to the EklipX Podcast, the Commodity Playbook. This channel is for everyone from across the commodity industry, including the next generation of traders looking to break into the space. From the trading floor to entrepreneurs, we interview market experts to elucidate and navigate the latest industry insights and trends. Our mandate is clear. We aim to provide greater transparency and better access to an opaque market. I'm joined in the studio today by Chad Tschudi. Welcome, Chad.
Great to be here.
Chad is an esteemed trader, coach, advisor, and investor. He's also our inaugural guest, and he's here to tell us a little bit more about how he made that move from the trading floor to board member. So, Chad, what are you up to right now, and what ventures are you involved with?
Amazing. Honestly, great to be here, Max. So, first of all, it's great to be one of the inaugural guests for the podcast. It's awesome. What I'm up to now, I would say I'm evolving. That's a great introduction. My career has been in trading and building and leading teams, and I've always done that in organizations. And at the moment, I've kind of gone off on my own and have created an advisory company, Stone Peak Advisors, where I'm working with companies to help them build as an external, as a coach to help people grow and build themselves. And also, as you said, as an investor, I've invested in a trading company. The name's Quantlane. And it's great to be something I've always wanted to be, was an actual investor in one of the companies that I am participating in, and being a part of their growth process. So, yeah.
So we've got a speaker here, a guest with a strong caliber of credentials. And I just want to start off talking about your personal journey. How did you get involved in trading? What kicked off the career?
I started at the bottom, to be honest. So I was in university. I was really inspired by one of my professors there. And I wasn't quite sure when I went into school what I wanted to do, but when I got out, I really knew I wanted to become a trader. And the doors weren't open for me at the beginning. So I really decided that I would find a place that would give me an opportunity. I was willing to work my way up from the bottom. And I worked in the accounts receivables department to start, with the goal and vision to make it to that trading desk eventually. And in a very short amount of time, that opportunity came as I worked my way through various levels to get to the trading desk. And it was everything I hoped it would be when I got there. Exciting, dynamic, challenging. So it was really amazing.
In terms of your industry specialties, would you say there's one specific sector that you thrive in?
Yeah, my origin roots were in European power. And then that has obviously grown because it's a basket, so then it's European energy. And in my last role, I led a diversification process, always in the commodity space, but starting an oil desk. Building out power and gas even further in that company, voluntary carbon credits, and starting an ag team there, and a bit of coal and metals as well. So it's commodities as a group. My DNA is probably in the power business, but generally commodities overall.
Did your university degree help you in any way for trading?
Is it bad to say not so much?
No, I'll be honest, because I think that's...
Yeah, no, not really. It gives you exposures, and to concepts and so forth. But when you get into the trading world, it's very different beast than what you learn in the textbooks, I would say. You learn about markets, you learn about market theory and so forth. But to actually participate in the markets, and I've largely come from a proprietary background, that's a very different thing. So it gave me some insights, I would say, but to prepare me to sit on a trading desk, I think I needed to be there.
There's no supplement for real life experience. There must have been a few mentors on the floor that really helped coach you.
You always, when you're a junior trader and you're getting onto a floor, there's always a senior on the desk who inspires you, or somebody who you really look up to and emulate. And I can remember the first person on this desk, at least, that I did. Just a big character, New York Italian, and it was just my first inspiration when I was there. And those people generally help to teach you along the way and show you the things that you need to know. And there's always somebody every time you go in your evolution that's there for you to look up to.
And how much risk were you managing when you started off? And how did that evolve over time?
Yeah, I wasn't really on a risk company. So I worked in foreign exchange at the beginning. It was more of a corporate FX company. They let you take some small risk intraday there. But then from that point on, when I moved into energy, that's when I started to take risk. And taking overnight risk and prolonged risk and so forth. So it was also like an evolution, like being in a kind of closed, contained environment with a very tight risk culture to that also evolving in my career, where the ability to take risk and the willingness of the place that you're in for you to take that risk just grew over time.
How and where did you make the leap from trader to manager?
Yeah, I've always been a team guy. I love being a part of a team. One of my core values is leadership. I never went into trading wanting to lead a team, but it kind of just gradually evolved over time. And as I got into, this is when I was with a utility trader, Chad in the Czech Republic, I progressively went from a trader on the desk at the beginning stages of that company to getting a chance to lead a small team to growing in that. So it just came over time, but it wasn't like destined that I wanted to lead a team or build a team. I just had a vision of what I thought we could do. And I was fortunate to have a great manager to give me the chance to bring that vision to reality.
And such a transition comes with its own set of challenges. How did you overcome those?
I think one of the biggest challenges is going from being a colleague to a leader. That can be really hard because you're sitting next to the people as equals, and then you're becoming kind of their boss, let's say. Yeah, that's a pretty big challenge to do that and to do it in a smooth way. And I was in my, I think, early to mid 30s, and this I didn't have a mentor for, so this was like learning by experience. But I got it over time, and I definitely made mistakes over time, but I kind of got it. But that was a big challenge, I think, to do that.
Is it difficult to sort of trade and manage at the same time?
That's a great question, really, because I'm a big believer to be a great manager, to be a great leader in a trading company, having a book is a big benefit. And this isn't always how people see it. They want you to view the management role as your core function. But I feel like when you're heavily involved in the business and building the business, having a connection to the market and being able to speak the language of the traders, to know what they're going through, to know what opportunities they have or maybe don't have, it just helps you to relate to them and to understand in better detail what's really going on in the business. You don't have to be a content expert, but carrying some risk, I think, is essential to being a great leader in a trading group. So I think it was...
Is that because you command more respect from the floor if you're actually trading?
It helps if you're earning money.
Yeah.
I think that it does. You do get more respect. I think that they know that you know what they're dealing with, right? It's not just a numbers game for you, and there's a relatability to it, which I think has been very helpful for me in being a leader with people and helping them along their journeys as well, right? I think it's a big value add, and I think it can be difficult maybe because I haven't been through it. Just be a manager. It's to me, you're losing a little bit of the touch with the business and the markets and the people as well.
You touched on it there. It's good when you're making money, but conversely, when you're not making money, you're losing money. Does it set a bad example?
It can. I mean, I am fortunate that I haven't lost too many years in my career. People can question, like, does he know what he's doing? People can't question it. It is an extra level of pressure. So trading and managing or trading and leading is an extra level of pressure, right? I feel like it's worth that additional pressure. But yeah, I think people can question, especially if you're consistently losing, then maybe you don't have a place to be trading at that time,
Because it can be frustrating when managers are of the mantra, do as I say, not as I do. And I think leading by example is always a great leadership quality.
Yeah. And I think there are some people who probably do this, trade and lose. And I think if it's a consistent thing and the team suffers from it, well, that's not a very good thing, right? But they're probably not meant to be a leader and trader, I would say, is a very simple way to put it, right? Maybe they're just in a leadership role. But I do think it adds a certain level of credibility with your traders if you're able to trade, even if you're making a small amount relative. You don't need to be the biggest earner. You shouldn't be the biggest earner. That shouldn't be your core focus. You're just trying to keep touch with what you're doing, right? But it does bring a very different dynamic to the whole ecosystem that you're working in.
Salient points. And what were your greatest highs and lows of being a trader and head of a trading team?
So greatest highs as being a trader, it's always the year you make the most money you've made in your career, but also like just getting certain things right. A lot of trading is like having a theory on where prices are going to go. When you're right, it feels pretty damn good. A lot of times you're wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're really wrong, I mean, I've had 1 year in my career where I was really, really wrong, and I felt like I was evolving into a different kind of trader and not managing the risks like I did in the past, and it was a huge mistake. And that was a lot of suffering, physical, emotional, even on peer level, there was suffering, you know.
How did you get through those tough times?
Well, I wish I knew what I knew now. I wish I had a great coach as well then. But I've always been fortunate to be surrounded by good people. You know, I think your environment is a big part of that. When you're in a community where there is support when you're down, it's really beneficial for traders, and it just goes to show that you've built a good team, not just you, but whoever has. You need that community around you. When you're around a community where people are either a little bit enjoying the fact that you're down or not helpful and resentful because maybe it's creating some problems for them as well, that could be tough. But I haven't been in that environment. Whenever I had problems, I always had other traders who were there really willing to help me, either with encouragement or things to do. And I've had management, which would be relatively understanding, you know.
What makes a good trader then?
I think
is
one
state
really,
of mind is a special skill set.
There's so many different styles of trading. It's a really hard question because there's so many different styles of trading. I always feel like we call it the game of trading, and I feel like everybody finds their own hack in the game of trading, right? And that fits their personality style. And especially when they're true to who they are, that's when they probably really become a very good trader. Now, don't try to be somebody else. Don't read it in a book. Does it fit you? You know? But there are some characteristics or qualities which I think are important. One is really being able to work with imperfect information. You see really bright people who can't actually trade because they need all the answers. You need to, at some point, just take a step off the ledge. And I think that's a really important thing. And then not being too proud, you know, just admit, you know, I'm wrong. And honestly, the P&L tells you I'm wrong. And having the discipline to say, I'm going to cut it and reevaluate. That's really essential. Like, live for another day. Really essential. And resiliency, because a lot of it is losing. A lot of it's boring. People think trading is so exciting. It's a lot of boredom. You know, you walk in a trading room, guys, depending on where you are, they may be doing things that they just look like they're not doing anything. There's still an intensity about monitoring the markets, but a lot of it is kind of boring, you know. And when you're having hard times or when the market's not giving you opportunities and there's the pressure to perform a lot of times, which is inside of you, that's really hard. You need to be resilient as well.
Can anyone trade? I mean, academia helps, all right, I'm sure, but
I have this belief that anybody could be a trader. I'm not saying that everybody can be a trader, but I really believe anybody could be a trader. And it's just about getting the opportunity. I got an opportunity, and I'm not one of the best traders in the world, but I got an opportunity and I made it a career, right? Because I found my rhythm, my way, my hack. I think a lot of people lack the belief that they can do it, so they don't try, or they simply lack the opportunity because they don't maybe have the pedigree, they maybe don't have the right avenue, I don't know. But I think anybody could be a trader. I believe this strongly. And one of the things I've loved is giving people a chance. I think that's been a kind of a cornerstone of my success, giving them a chance. And one of the reasons I'm a coach now as well is just seeing them blossom as a trader.
I think that leads on to my next question quite nicely about what is the right time to give traders opportunities and how do you make them see success in the hard times?
So repeat it for me again. Nice.
Well, when is the right time to give traders opportunities? And how, in the hard times, do you sort of coach them through that?
So for as far as giving them an opportunity, I would take that as a seat, giving them a chance to sit, and that's just either they work their way up, and they just show that they have a certain level of understanding in the business, and that they're ready to take that next chance, maybe as an analyst, maybe in some other capacity, to put risk on. And again, it's just taking a calculated chance. I mean, managing and choosing the people is like trading. It's just you're taking a bet, basically, right? And in the hard times, I find I'm a nurturer. I'm not the kind of guy who believed in come to the desk, you're so stupid, what are you doing? You know, more like what's going on? Is it logical? Is it not logical? Try to bring other ways for people to see it, to see what that situation is. But ultimately, if they're still within their risk system, which they hopefully should be, helping them to find the answer themselves. And then when they're down, which most notably they're going to be, just putting them in a place to try to pick them up emotionally and psychology. If you have a really bad run, it's very tough to recover from. It takes time. You're human, and that's coming from my discretionary trading background. It's not systematic. But time, nurturing, space, support, and honestly showing belief. Look, I know you're down. We know you need help, but we believe in you. And also being with traders who have gone through a rough period, and just the group's belief in them is really empowering for that person to come back.
Yeah, giving them those opportunities gives them belief.
Yeah.
Have you got any stories about traders, from successful ones to maybe trading that didn't work out in the way that they were hoping or you were hoping for?
Yeah, unfortunately, plenty. Because it's part of the business, you can have people who have been very successful in places and they can come to work with you or for you. Success doesn't always translate. I think there's a very small percentage of really exceptional traders in the world who can do it anywhere. A lot of people are also partially a function of their environment. And there's been a few times for sure where I've had people who are well-regarded traders who have a track record of success who just didn't make it with me or in our environment. And I can't explain why not sometimes. I don't know if it is like the not having quite the confidence or the belief, or maybe not having access to the same levels of information. But without giving like a specific case, there are plenty of people who have been long-term successful traders who I've worked with who, for whatever reason, just didn't really make it. Yeah. And then there are also people who want to be traders who just never quite get over the hurdle. And sometimes, again, it could be environment. I've seen people who they get to a threshold in that place, they move on, and they really go on to another level. And maybe it's because of their ecosystem. And some people, they just can't make it as far as like risk trading.
Have you got any tricks to foster a good company culture and a high performance environment?
The compensation scheme is crucial, really. How you set up that compensation scheme incentivizes collaboration, incentivizes how traders take personal responsibility for their books, incentivizes how much they push to take risk. So there's a lot that a compensation scheme, or whatever you want to call it, how people are paid, let's say, goes into it. And also, I think finding ways for collaboration within the team. So, I believe in individual book responsibility at the end of the day, meaning you can't hide in a book. I don't want to get too specific maybe on this, yeah? Or we can, it's up to you. But I think that ultimately you should have responsibility for how your performance is, but I think you should be able to work collaboratively, let's say, in sharing trade ideas with people and finding ways that could be compensated from it. I think that's really worked very well for me in the past. And yeah, having this environment which then fosters that, the communication, the sharing, the team spirit, it all comes down to all those functions working together for that. If people are just incentivized on their own book, how they're paid, they don't care what anybody else around them is doing, they're not going to share very much. I believe in the power of the group. 1 + 1 is 3.
Yeah, synergy.
Yeah, synergy, and really trying to build that atmosphere and in the team spirit and the company spirit and having pride in it. All those things, I think, really bring a successful group together.
We'll talk a little bit now about business acumen and how you're on a third venture now. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the magic potion needed to launch a successful startup?
A little bit of craziness. Like the idea that I'm restarting kind of for a third time. And I've been successful in the past, and my last venture was very successful. But just, having the vision for what you want, and it doesn't just necessarily mean for this point in my life that it's just the business, but it's the whole pie. It's my life around the business as well. But knowing what the potential can be, again, trying to be in a position to find talented people and inspire them, and to find talented people who believe in the vision, who are going to give their utmost to make it work. That's really the key, the people. I never would have been as successful as I have been in my career without the community of people around me. I was very often not the smartest guy in the room, to be frank.
That means you're in the right room.
Yeah, I think so. And to give people space to to also step up and to contribute and to bring their ideas, and it just makes things so much smoother, people so much happier, and honestly everything to work better. So give people space, find talent, give it space, water it, let it grow.
And what were the challenges to building those businesses, and how did you manage them?
Yeah, pressure. So, always pressure to make money and not lose it. But yeah, just a lot of pressure, especially when you're trying to build businesses that you can continue the iterative process of making mistakes, but the mistakes aren't going to kill you, and that you have a lot of successes of various degrees that you're building off of. That iterative process is really, really beneficial. And I think you just need time. You need patient shareholders or whoever you have, investors, and they need to allow you to go through that process. And it takes more time than usually you want it to. And having that patience and that trust in the room in the hard times is critical. And the understanding that it's going to take time, but we're committed to it. We trust you, and we're going to give you leeway to do it and not try to, because it's not working, we're not going to try to intervene. Just give the person that you bring in space and trust and belief over a period of time, and give them a chance.
I can see why you're a coach now. So you mentioned shareholders there, and you're obviously a shareholder now. Do you think shareholders with a trading background are preferable to shareholders without market experience?
Yes, I do. Especially in the hard times. I have a great saying for the last group I worked with. My shareholders were at their best in the worst times. And that means the hardest market times. They were really at their best. And I think the fact that they've been in the markets and they know what you're going through was a significant help, instead of just seeing the bottom line number, And that's also why I think if you can trade to some extent and manage and lead, I think there's a benefit to it, because then it trickles down to you helping the whole environment, especially with your traders, your analysts, So I think there's a big value add there, that they have some background in it.
Well, Chad, thank you for letting us pick your brains. I want to ask you one last question, maybe more informal.
Okay.
If you could turn back the hands of time, what career would you choose and why?
Oh, Max, what a question. Yeah, I love the path I'm on now, and we talked about it prior to us starting, about a bit of diversity in my life, and always being a part of that brand. I've always had that brand, and now I'm an investor, as you said. I'm a coach. I'm a strategic advisor. If I could add one more thing to that, because I love the things I'm in right now, I'd be a basketball coach. That's my origin story, really, basketball.
It's time for that.
Yeah, it is. But I just love the team concept. I love to win. It was a big part of my life, changed my life, basketball. But I would just add that one extra element to what I'm doing now.
Well, thank you for coming, Chad, and we look forward to catching up soon.
Amazing. Thanks, Max. Been a pleasure.
For our next episode, we'll be joined by Seb Kennedy, the founding editor of Energy Flux, where he'll be deep diving into the latest headwinds and tailwinds in the gas market. Until then, it's bye for now.